Alright everybody, welcome back to We Play Games. I'm Walker, and here we are with sort of what I'm hoping is the most mercifully short video that I am going to do on the channel here in a long time, because this is just going to be a very, very brief, like, what is going on in Endless Legend 2, my very brief feelings about it. I'm not going to show you any gameplay footage, because this video is not intended to be that long, but just to frame it, this is a video that I've been excited to make for an incredibly long time. I thought that I would be excited and happy. I am excited and nervous instead, because I feel like a lot of the issues that I identified as like contributing to humankind's development and release and reception, I feel are still present here, but I do think that this still has like a lot of the same fundamental beauty in terms of Amplitude's attempt to develop a game. But I'll tell you that like it really feels like there's a widget tool that somebody bought that just doesn't understand data analytics, that's like trying to reinterpret the like insane multi-dimensional outcomes that are associated with a 4x and reduce it to a one-dimensional outcome in terms of probability distribution, and then doing analytics based off of that, based off of like qualitative data that's like almost certainly wrong because of groupthink and survivorship bias problems and AI response problems. Like the game, to be clear, to like highlight this game I really do love in theory, so much so that I wrote a 130-page AAR like, I don't know, 7 months ago. I like to waste my time. That's my vibe when it comes to interpreting the universe from a Bayesian perspective. But I think this game's incredible, but just like Humankind, I think it has a lot of issues, and I hope that we can fix some of them just like right here and immediately, and also talk through just like a couple of really brief housekeeping things. So first, there's no multiplayer here, but I think this is absolutely the correct thing for Amplitude to have done given where they were. We will talk about this whenever we get to the game design stream, but like you should start with your netcode, not end with it. But the better thing for you to do if you didn't do that is to do exactly what Amplitude did. Rather than shuffling out like incredibly bad netcode for multiplayer that no one would enjoy, they waited, and that's what you should do if you are a 4X game developer. It's way better to start with the netcode for internal testing, but like and we will talk about that whenever we get to the game design, because there's so many fundamental misunderstandings about what is going on in 4X, I think, because nobody really gets it. But multiplayer, this is the right thing for them to have done. If they don't have netcode that two normal people just playing a game, having fun, vibing, like, you know, two friends, if they get desyncs every 5 turns, they're gonna get furious and they're gonna say, I hate multiplayer. This is right, this is correct. They did the right thing here. The wrong thing, I think they need to rebalance their map threat like immediately before Friday. I think they need to change it to one unit gets spawned before the first tidefall, then one gets spawned after the second tidefall, then 2, then 3. So that way there is some sort of scaling presence of threat associated with Tide, because like that just makes sense. We can talk about that later if you want to talk about like biology in terms of things, but it also makes it just like a lot easier for new players, because the reason I'm like less concerned to make this video is that Jumbo made a really good video in terms of beginner guides. No one really knows how this game works. Like, there are exploiters who think that they know how the game works, but I've watched them converse and they really don't get a 4X. And so the advice that Jumbo gave you guys is 100% correct. Whenever you get to a new 4X, just explore the space first. That's literally the first phase in most of them, but it's also where you'll just like see the most in terms of spectacle and in terms of amazement and novelty and wonder. And then you'll start to see where the exploiters kind of like derailed the whole thing, probably because of poor data analytics. And if they just reduce the world threat a little bit, then you'll get fewer simultaneous turns complaints, because like right now you just get a pop-up in terms of text and you try to read it, and then like a bad guy charges across the map and attacks you while you're trying to interact with the narrative that the game has. It's a bad play experience for the average player, I promise. And having a larger padding timer at the beginning of the turn is one way to fix that, but honestly the world threat just doesn't make sense, because this should be a 4X about exploring, and Jumbo told you correctly that like you kind of really do not have the luxury of exploring in Endless Legend 2, a game about exploring. So I'm really excited to work on this game. I am incredibly annoyed that I have to work on this game with like the same sort of vibe that I had to work on Age of Wonders 4, because some of these problems did not need to be here, and Amplitude introduced them for reasons that concern me. But a thing that they did do that was correct is this game speed thing. So they could not figure out a way to make it so that the tidefall happened at a percentage of turns rather than at a fixed number of turns. That's what you should do. I really hope they fix that, because that's one of the greatest innovations. Tidefall, this game is still in the same space as Humankind. This is not a crocodile out of 10, but this is a screaming banshee out of 10. This is a game that is not complete, but here we are in early access, and that's why we're doing this as sort of like the ethics of early access. The best kind of feedback that you can provide to Amplitude right now is how you feel, how you don't try to optimize it necessarily, but explore the space, learn, discover what the game is doing for you, discover where you feel like things aren't working, and then try to describe it. But like, you don't have to do the analysis. They have people who try to do that. But game speed, normal, sure. Like, this helps in terms of like normalizing your distributions a little bit in terms of the probabilistic nightmare of 4X game design. But like, the reason I'm kind of annoyed and don't want to make this video include gameplay is that they broke the fundamentals of a 4X, I think, and they only broke it in like the last 2 months. Why? Why would you do this? Your game was so good, Amplitude. It could have... So they can fix it. That's what early access is for, and that's what we're going to be trying to encourage people to do. Is we are going to attempt to use early access for what it should be used for ethically, which is not saying here's how to hyper optimize the game and break it. It's here's how to make the game as fun for as many people as humanly possible, so that way as many people play this game as humanly possible, so that way Amplitude makes as much money as humanly possible, so that way they can like make even just like keep iterating on their perfection. Because the thing that makes me like borderline angry rather than like just despondent is that I know that they have planeswalker sparks over there. I know that they have people with power levels, and they've buried them under just like data analytics that don't make any sense at all, because it doesn't seem to account for the fact that this is a multi-dimensional probabilistic nightmare rather than a one-dimensional probabilistic outcome like distribution. And then they also seem to not understand that there are like severe problems with the qualitative data that they are collecting in terms of their strategic game space, both due to survivorship bias problems as well as groupthink problems. So like, I don't know, man. The video that we're going to do next, the stream that we're going to do next, I think I'm going to divide into praxis and then theory, so that way I don't have to show you guys like a bunch of probability distribution math in the first video where we just talk about game design, so that one's like a little less terrifying. But the second one should like, I think, hopefully make people within 4X development wake up, because good lord, they have forgotten that this is a biomechanical feedback loop for more people. So I hope them also, this is like from a Bayesian perspective, you can make a game with mistakes and still do crazy well, and I really hope that they do, but I really do also think that there are some pretty obvious mistakes in the game, and fixing up world threat immediately is like the most important thing. But then we have to kind of like redo balance, because the concept of balance that people seem to think exists within 4X makes no sense if you understand probabilistic distributions and the influence of player behavior on those probabilistic distributions. And if you don't believe me, talk to a stat professor and explain to them in statistics what a 4X game is, and then ask them, should we attempt to model this? Or should we attempt to simulate this? Should we attempt to sample this? And they will laugh you out of the room. All right, that's Walker. Bye.